What's up, guys? Gonna go over a few different things today. As you guys know, I'm writing a new book on the baseball and golf swings, and so I don't have a whole lot of time these days to do these videos. I love doing them. I enjoy them, but it's hard to kind of go back and forth, switch the mind, and spend the time to do them. So I'm not gonna do much editing on this video. I haven't done a whole lot of prep, so excuse me for the ums and uhs and overall stuttering and stammering, but we'll get through it here. Um, I wanted to, so we're gonna do the 10 to 6 in the pound for pound list and take a look at some of their swings. And before I get into that, I wanted to go through some videos. Well, just a couple things that you guys sent that are on my mind this morning because I just saw them on Instagram, and I thank you guys for sending me these things. I get a lot of you guys just sending kind of random stuff, but that is pertinent to what we talk about on this channel, and it makes for good content, makes for a good opportunity to at least for you guys to learn a little bit about my thoughts on some of these topics. And the first one is, well, let's just play it.
Pitchers are actually trying to get them banned. They're called traject arcs. A college student used publicly available pitch tracking data that tracks each pitcher's pitches, how much they spin, how they spin, when they spin, how fast they go, how they move, and even their release point. This is incorporated into a pitching machine. The data is so accurate, you are literally facing the actual pitches you would see in a game. You can face any pitcher in MLB, and the machine will throw you the same pitches they throw in the game, and even project their delivery on screen so it feels like you're actually in the box. Some pitchers are even going in and facing themselves because seeing how nasty their pitches are from the batter's perspective gives them a
So we get the idea here. So this is kind of a 2.0 version of something that came out years ago and was pretty popular at the conventions. And it was, I don't remember the name. Some of you guys out there might remember. I don't know if they're still around. Maybe this is part of that company. But it was just a big screen that showed a pitcher. It was just a generic, probably a college pitcher that they got to just give the video. And it was just like this in the sense that it was a big screen with a hole in it for the release to come through. And just as I'm looking at this, I'm wondering, how are they going to do sidearm pitchers? Like, all the pitchers have to come from pretty much the same height. But anyways, so this is not new in that sense, but it is new in the sense that they are actually getting the exact pitches from actual major league pitchers. That's pretty interesting. And I think at some point we're going to reach a time where where technology does help. I just don't think this is very helpful. And I think that there's a lot of wasted time. I think about like the guys from the Sandlot days, kids who now, the kids who were practicing and playing baseball back then, it's common now to kind of scoff at their level of play. But I just think, like, while we're kind of tinkering with the technology and kind of wasting time with it, these kids were just seeing more pitches. Like, they're out just playing while we're so focused on the technology, it makes me think of golf like in the early 2000s. There was this big popularity of like the equipment. Like everybody was just talking about the equipment. I don't know, maybe there was some advancement made, but you can see from the late 90s to like the say to 2010, there was, look at drivers from the late 90s compared to drivers from 2010, and or irons, they really did improve, you know, the distance that they're capable of going, and the what's it called, the ability to not go errant, I forget what that's called, but anyways, they uh they improved. I think it's not an improvement. I actually go for things that are older because it's harder. It's better to practice with things that are older because it's harder to hit with them. So obviously, you don't want to mask in practice. You don't want to mask your flaws. You want them to shine as bright as possible. So, anyways, getting back to this pitch machine, that's pretty cool that they can get the pitches from pitchers. They can get the actual pitches. That's pretty neat. I don't think that this is I mean, it's probably extremely expensive. Teams are investing. I think a couple teams have already invested in this. I developed a pitch recognition training aid years ago, as many of you guys know, which was just a clear screen that you could put in the bullpen and view pitches. That one of these things would have been roughly around $1,000 to $1,500. I think that would have been a way better investment, but it's not this shiny, sparkly thing that technology is these days. I've gone to the conventions lately, and I went with my what was called the pitch view, my training aid, and people just aren't interested. They want technology. They want to spend a lot of money on technology because I think it makes them feel like they must be on the cutting edge. I've never understood this whole desire to be on the cutting edge of technology. My concern has always been be on the cutting edge, but not of technology, because there's no win in that game. That's something anyone can really play. The money, the cost of these things is going to go down, and then your competitors are going to have one too. And so there's no lasting sort of competitive advantage from technology. I do prefer like improvement in technology in terms of practice if it's an effective one. I don't like the improvement in technology game where you're just going for performance, like people who go out and buy the most expensive bat because the ball goes farther. Maybe if you're in the major leagues, that's a game that's worth playing because you can, improve your salary. Maybe in college, you want to play that game a little bit, but I definitely don't understand it for the younger kids. In Little League, you're not really trying to. It's more practice until you get to the level of college. When I was in Little League, should be no surprise, I used a wooden bat because I was thinking I was preparing myself for playing pro ball. So I was known in Little League as the weirdo using the wooden bat. But that's the way I still look at it. If you have a fall baseball league that doesn't mean all that much in terms of your actual performance, it might be good to use a wooden bat. Why not? You're not real concerned about performance. It's kind of a practice season for you. So again, the Sandlot guys, like back in the day when they didn't have all this technology, they were just going out and playing. And while we're focused on like the latest tech. And when you buy one of these things, it takes maintenance, it takes a lot of time. They break down, or that you have to adjust this or that. Meanwhile, these guys were just seeing pitches while you're fiddling around with the technology. And there's a time cost to these things too. I say just go out and see actual live pitches. Here's the problem I have with these screens. People are missing what pitch recognition is mostly about. It's mostly about seeing the release. The little tiny event of releasing the ball and the first, I would say, 10 feet maybe that the ball is released. So it's the movement of the hand, how that connects with the ball, and then the first 10 feet or so. That to me is 90% of what pitch recognition is about. So I've said this before. Pitch recognition is probably, it could be a bigger opportunity that I see out there even than swing mechanics. Pitch recognition is a huge opportunity out there, and people are trying to address it with, watching pitches on video and then giving each kid, like on the bus ride to the game, some video of pitchers, or just giving them iPads in the hotel room so they can view pitches. I don't think that necessarily solves it either. That may be okay because at least you are seeing the release of the hand and the ball, but I think it needs to be more three-dimensional. This is why I think at some point virtual reality will have something for us in the realm of swing, or in the realm of pitch recognition. But these machines I don't like because there's no connection of the hand to the ball. And so I would say 90% of pitch recognition is that release event by the pitcher. But there is still 10% that's the ball flight. There's some adjustment that you can still make just seeing the ball flight. So maybe that 10% is being improved by using this machine. But you guys can see how, why would you spend so much money to focus on 10% when obviously the thing to focus on would be the 90%. I think we need to really hone in on this release action. And I don't think there's really a better way than to utilize the pitches coming from your bullpen. But nobody was really interested in my training aid. It got too expensive to keep making. I do have people reaching out from time to time, telling me that they'd love to get one. I've even had people who are in the pitch recognition business reach out and tell me how they think it's a great idea that could still work. I think that at some point we're going to see these screens in bullpens of all major league teams. The reason why is because we're wasting the pitches coming from the bullpen. There are thousands of pitches every year coming from the bullpen, and they're just being wasted, where you could at least have somebody standing in with no chance of getting hit by the pitch, but they can view the pitch in its entirety. That is a huge advantage. You're talking about every player on the team getting, say, 500 more pitch views than his competitors. You have this going on in the minor leagues. By the time they get to the major leagues, they have a couple thousand more views of pitches than their competitors. It's a huge opportunity. Guys are trying to solve it. The companies want to come up with the most sort of sexy product that they can sell, and they're not real concerned with how much it works as much. I mean, of course they want it to work, but they want to make sales. And the teams want to spend a lot of money apparently on something that looks very high tech. and is based on the data. Data is a huge word these days in player development. People think that player development is like an extension of this Moneyball thing. And so they're all looking at data and like thinking data is the answer. I think it's just kind of being overcomplicated right now. There are companies, like I said, just coming up with these extremely expensive, neat ideas, but just because they're novel and they're expensive doesn't mean that it's got a big bang for your buck in terms of how it's going to help performance. So I think that this is not really the direction we need to go. When it comes to pitch recognition, when I hear pitch recognition, I almost hear release. The release is the main thing. Of course, you need to connect a release to a ball flight. It's not going to be enough to just see the release, but it's more about you're seeing the release and you're connecting it to a certain ball flight. And I think we need to spend time not worried about hitting the ball, but just viewing pitches. This is why I thought the pitch view that I developed, this clear screen that goes in the bullpen, was just perfect. Because guys they can stand there with a bat, or they can just stand there and just view pitches. I had University of California, Cal Berkeley, used them. They'd like to use that. They used them for a little while, and they like to put them behind the catcher during scrimmages, and they had hitters just standing behind it viewing pitches. I mean, I think that's a great idea too. So, there are a lot of pitches going on. We just need to view more of them. I always look for, like, how can we advance further than the guys from the Sandlot era? Because I think they did a lot of things great. The use of wooden bats from a young age affected their swing, affected mechanics. It affected the whole swing movement, as well as made them obviously stronger. But more importantly, I think it adjusted their mechanics to be better on a large scale. They saw more pitches. So how can we advance beyond them? I don't think we've quite done it yet. I wouldn't say that the way guys practice, and I know people would disagree with me because everything is so advanced and so many expensive machines and huge buildings that these guys are practicing in. For sure, they must be practicing, more efficiently than guys from the 100 years ago or so. In ways, I think probably we are. But in some of these really important ways, like pitch recognition and swing mechanics, I think we've actually regressed. I want to get to a question, and then we'll get into the pound for pound guys. So this question I got: hey Jamie, I'm still curious about swing mechanics for my son, and I keep coming back to your philosophy. That makes the most sense. I remember a video you posted about exerting force later in the swing as opposed to the beginning. I can't find the video now. Do you still believe that and if so, can you point me to the video you made? Well, instead of pointing you to the video, because I would have to go back and, I don't know where that video exactly is, but what I'll do is I'll talk about it now. And so, exerting force later in the swing. I think of Sadahara O. There are a lot of guys I could put up, but just as a knee-jerk kind of response to this, I think of Sadahara O, who you can see how the extension kind of happens, I would say at, but through contact. There's kind of this release. What's going on in today's swing is it's almost like there can really only be one fast part of the swing. And what's going on today is guys are real fast at the start. They're real tight and fast, and there's just so much tightness. I don't know. Bruce Lee probably said something about this. I'm not a Bruce Lee fan, but you know how looseness is more powerful. I can see Bruce Lee saying something about that. But at the start of the swing, it pays to be more loose. You can see he's loose enough that he's getting a lot of front humerus compression. The barrel has dropped and flattened. Oh, if you don't know who Sadahara O is, he's basically the Japanese Babe Ruth or Hank Aaron. And many people believe that he was actually more prolific in his home runs than anyone has been in America. And as far as a pound-for-pound hitter, he could be up there. He might take Willie Mays' spot as the number one pound-for-pound hitter of all time. I don't know. I didn't run those numbers, but I could. He was not a very heavy guy, not a very big guy, and hit home runs at a very unbelievable pace. So you can see he's loose at the start. Things are being affected by gravity more. The barrel dropping like that, getting the front humerus compression naturally, that means there's some looseness in his swing. We don't respect this need for looseness in the swing today. We're tight. I mean, we're even taught to snap the barrel back, so that's tightness. If you're forcing the barrel back, everything is tight. We're hanging back on our back leg. Everyone looks tight. I think there needs to be a lot more looseness. And then if you want to talk about tightness, and it's not really that it's tight, but it's like the muscles are more moving faster and kind of exerting more as they get to here in the swing. If you don't do that, to me, you're going to get a more disconnected position at contact. You're going to you're not going to get the whip necessary in the swing. Whip is so important. This idea of the bat forward bending through contact provides a lot of force into the ball that is just not respected. So Sadahara O has that kind of late extension movement. So try to feel in your swing that you're loose, and really one of the most important things is that the barrel is dropping. You're so loose that the barrel's being affected by gravity. You're so loose that you're getting this front humerus compression. This is all about looseness. I'm not asking you guys to do these movements because you're forcing them. They should happen naturally because gravity is taking it. This is the lead arm training bat. You can check it out at theswingmechanic.com. It's a small bat that is really the best training aid that you can use for feeling this very loose action at the start of the swing. Because when the lead arm is working by itself, you want to do this flattening action as you start. I want to make it clear, you don't need this bat. This bat was designed as a perfect size, a perfect weight that I like for the lead arm progression. Lead arm progression, if you guys don't know, is basically swinging with just your lead arm and feeling this dropping action, feeling the looseness at the start, and then the kind of quicker extension that happens at and through contact. Even Ben Hogan, I believe, said that the fastest part of the swing is actually after contact. That's where most of the kind of exertion goes to. So you guys can check that out at theswingmechanic.com. If you have a smaller bat, that can work just as well. But this one, it's about 22 ounces. It's 26 and a half inches long. It's just a good size for really any age. Just a good size because I want the lead arm to not be, if you use just your regular bat, there's a little too much weight. And it's good for guys who need to feel this dropping action, but I don't want you to always be forced into this dropping action of the barrel. I want you to feel it with a weight that is what you're going to feel when you swing with two hands on the bat with your lead arm. So that way you can realistically move into doing the same action with two hands on the bat and using a regular bat. So lead arm progression is in large part to feel this looseness at the start of the forward swing, feeling the slotting action of the barrel. Got some more Sadahara O footage here. Maybe a little too much. And the pitcher is not happy. And Sadahara O is happy. And okay. Stan Musial also did kind of this late exertion. You can see it in his swing. See that? The body extends way late in the swing. Let's look at it from behind here, down the line. There you can see it again. That late look of extension through the swing. Look at that back leg up off the ground. Again, this is why today's instruction, everything is so stiff and tight. Like an instructor would coach a move like this out of a kid's swing. He would think, oh, you could never hit this pitch or that. I don't know what they say. You couldn't hit with a swing like this because it's not going to work at the higher levels. You have to keep your foot down on the ground or whatever. I mean, they just want to tighten and make your swing more robotic. Anyways, we're getting off topic. The main thing is that late extension that we're talking about. Yeah, you should feel the late extension, and that has to do with this slotting action because we're loose at this point. Take a look at Griffey's swings. Go to my website, theswingmechanic.com. You can click on Griffey swings in the main menu. Here's another view. Too many looks at Musial. You can see that late extension. All right, let's get into the number 10 to 6. Oh, before I do, this is Lindsay, who hits very good pound-for-pound hitter in her league, hits home runs over fences. And she has a good example here of this looseness at the start of the forward swing. Look at the barrel drop. And it's all natural looking. She's not forcing it to drop. This is the move that you want. And notice the well-connected position and then the extension, the quicker movement after contact here. So that quicker movement can't really, after contact can't really be done in many of today's players who are so tense and tight at the start, and they're doing that quick movement at the start. It can't be done without this slotting action of the barrel as you start forward. So you want that. That's going to give you whip. And it sets her body up to deliver the barrel in a much more conducive way to hitting with more consistency and more power. And then you can see that you're looking for that late extension where you have a really wide finish and the back arm and bat are in alignment for a long time into the finish. So I hope that clears it up as far as the late exertion in the swing. So let's take a look at Duke Snider, number 10 on the pound for pound list. Duke Snider weighed 180 pounds, hit a home run. Let's see. Hit a home run every 17.6 at-bats for his career. And he has a 360 pound for pound score. Duke Snider. Let's take a look. I don't have many of his swings. It's hard to get a Duke Snider swing. You can see barrel here is dropping nicely. I'm seeing a lot of gravity taking his barrel here. It's very subtle, but it's so important, this very start of the swing, that you just have a little bit of gravity take it. Just a little bit. Some of you guys, if you just felt this little bit more gravity and the barrel dropping just a little bit more, it would make such a huge difference. And there you can see contact being made, well connected. Now he's going to extend after contact. There you can see that extension after contact. Is it a coincidence maybe that we see more of this extension after contact in the older players? Probably not a coincidence. It's probably a lot of the swing instruction that's given now of stay back, be tight, be quick, don't pull off the ball. All this stuff that's restricting people more. There you go. Here he is. Kind of a tough view here, but you can see the slotting action at the start. Barrel drops. Here's another one. Well connected on that one. You're not going to be extremely well connected on every hit. It's not, when I say I want a well connected position at contact, that's obviously not going to happen, especially in games where you're off on timing. What will tend to happen, though, is that you will tend to be more connected when you have this better movement at the start. You're not wasting exertion. If you're tight from the start and you kind of exert outward, well, now you're spending your exertion. You're spending mainly back arm exertion and extension. So by the time you get to contact, you're well extended. Also because you're pushing the barrel away from the zone as you push outward. And so you're just going to tend to be less connected at contact with that kind of pushy swing. So be loose, be more relaxed at the start. That'll allow your body to control the action more through the swing and be more connected, more consistently at contact. But don't try to force a more connected position at contact. It's okay if you don't like a real connected position at contact. That's not really the necessary thing as much as getting this first part of the swing right. Now we have, who's next on the list? Jim Wynn. Jim Wynn's one of my favorites because he's the 160-pound guy. He's one of three guys in the 160-pound category. He hit home run every 22.86 at-bats, weighing 160, and had a 365 pound-for-pound score. By the way, Duke Snider was also Every single lefty in the top 10 had right-handed coordination. Babe Ruth is in the top 10. He didn't throw with his right hand, but he did right with his right hand. But every other lefty, actually threw with his right hand. Every other lefty threw with his right hand in the top 10 of the pound for pound list. So Jim Wynn, apparently, this is way before my time that he played, but he hit absolute bombs. There you can see that he very much allowed the barrel to flatten out at the start. He got a lot of front humerus compression, and he put a lot into each swing. Let's see where this ball goes. Is this the one? I mean, look how far. Here's the one that goes into the street. I mean, it goes over that sign and into the street. You can see it bouncing in the street. This guy hit absolute bombs, and he weighed 160. Let's take a look at his swing. Here's a home run in the All-Star game, I believe. You can see a lot of distance. He had a lot of distance between his hands and his body. He was getting way out here as he started forward. This one he catches well out in front. But look how flat the barrel is as he goes through the zone. That's something you're going to see from consistently powerful hitters. The barrel just stays very flat as it goes through the zone. You can see that from the shortstop or second base position, or even the center field position. Here you can see, look at that move right there. That's the key move. Just let gravity take it for that first part. A lot of you guys need to feel something way different in your back arms here. This is why in the lead arm progression, you swing with just the lead arm, but when you add the back arm, that's a key step too. Add the back arm and let it just drop. Let it follow this action that you created with the lead arm by itself. Beautiful action there. Look at that. Catches this one well out in front. Another advantage of a great swing is that you have a longer distance in which to adjust on pitches. And here you can see he's adjusting. This is, again, something that you can't see in today's swing because guys are hanging back on their back leg. They can't kind of move forward and adjust on pitches that they're early on. This is just an adjustment capability that is not real popular, not real possible in today's hitters. Willie Mays, you can see Willie Mays in this position quite a bit in his hits. Dave Winfield was oftentimes in positions like this through his hits. Here he is again. You can see the distance that he has from his body with his hands. You know, the straight lead arm, I don't think it's a quintessential piece necessarily, but I do think that you're going to have a little bit more consistent power, maybe a little bit more power in general with a straighter arm. You're getting more leverage. You're allowing for this more front humerus compression, which gets the hands a little bit more behind you. So you get them farther away from you and more behind you. I think that that's just helpful. But it's got to go along with this gravity influence of taking the barrel. You can't just force positions. I know this is popular in today's instruction. Guys are talking about, they obstruct the swing in order for you to only be able to swing within this confined place that they think is what makes a great swing. What really matters is what you feel. Rickson Gracie, the best jiu-jitsu player of all time, once said that great jiu-jitsu is invisible. because it's about what he's feeling on the inside more than what you can see him doing on the outside. And I think a great swing is very much like that. Yes, we can see that this barrel is flattening, the lead arm compression, but if you just try to force that, you're kind of missing what's going on. What allows this to happen is this move of, you'll feel it when you do the lead arm progression. You'll feel that it's the aligning of the barrel due to a relaxedness in your arm as you start forward. And God, such an important step is adding that back arm. Because most of you guys, when you're adding the back arm, it's going to go back to what it wants to do. You guys need to spend some time first figuring out the structure that the lead arm of the entire swing that you want to take when the lead arm is swinging by itself. I'll say that again. First, figure out the structure that your entire swing wants to take when swinging with the lead arm by itself. A lot of you guys will pick up the training bat with just your lead arm. You'll start taking swings, but you're doing the same old swing. I want you to have the mentality of, if I had to hit this ball as hard as possible, as far as possible, what action would I take? Forget the swing that I'm used to and that I'm accustomed to. What action would I take if I really had to put as much force into this ball as possible? Let's start there. And what most of you guys are going to do is you're going to have a little tip of the bat this way as you go up, and then you're going to kind of flow into this flattening action. You're going to naturally do what many of these pound for pound greats do. You're going to have more of exertion after contact. So swinging with just the lead arm in the right way just allows you to feel the overall structure. But then we have to add the back arm, and that is such a key part because it's such a different feel in the arm that you're likely feeling the most. For most of you guys, the back arm is the most coordinated arm. And so you feel through that more than you do your non-coordinated arm. You have more feel through your coordinated arm. So when you add that back arm, it's going to want to feel what it's used to. You need to introduce it to something different. And you're probably going to need quite a few reps in doing that. But you can also just introduce it and say, this is what I'm doing now. You know, I think so many people are so resistant to change. For whatever reason, they're resistant to change. If they just allowed change to happen, they really could take this swing into their next game. It can be that quick. But so many people resist it. They're not really mentally stepping outside the box that they're used to in terms of feel. And so they make it hard for themselves. They're essentially resisting change. They're clinging on to their blankie. And their blankie is their old swing that they're used to. Are you going to make perfect contact right away? Possibly not, because we're adjusting the entire swing. It might take you a little bit of time to, off a tee, make more consistent, solid contact. But it shouldn't take you that long. And you should, in the end, in a very short time, be making more solid contact off a tee more consistently. So there you can see, look how far he pushes the hands out away from him here. And nice connection there at contact. Always took a nice hard swing and finished his swing. Here's a nice hard swing for you. Watch this. Boom. Now this is a foul ball, but look at how hard that swing is. And this is a righty. And most righties are not taking swings this hard because they're so concerned with heading to first base. Just forget about first base. Take a hard swing, then worry about heading to first base. Here's another one. again, that dropping action is so subtle. It's such a little tiny subtle move in terms of how we view it from the outside, but it can be a huge difference in terms of feel. I mean, many of you guys are going to feel like at first like this is crazy. It's such a different feel. Let's get into Ruth. Ruth is number 6. So we're doing Duke Snider, Jim Wynn, and Babe Ruth, who's tied for 6 with Harmon Killebrew and Oscar Gamble. We'll do Harmon Killebrew and Oscar Gamble in the next video. Ruth tied for 6th. We didn't go through some of these guys' stats. I wanted to point out that Duke Snider hit 40 or more home runs 5 years in a row. I mean, you can't say that about too many hitters. He did lead the league in strikeouts 3 times. But I think that's a little, people overrate the strikeout thing. An out is essentially an out. What's more important, I mean, you could even look at, and many times a strikeout is better than the alternative, like a ground out. Because a ground out can often mean a double play. We don't have grounding in double play, or do we? Maybe that's what GDP means. Maybe you guys can help me out. I never knew what GDP meant, but that could be grounding in double plays. But either way, a strikeout could be better at times than even a ground out. What I look at is OPS plus. I give a lot of weight to OPS plus. I don't give it everything necessarily, especially when you're looking at swing mechanics. But the overall value of a hitter, just like in terms of just pure raw value to the team, I think OPS plus is probably the best measure. But anyways, let's get to Babe Ruth. Look at some of his stats. 342 lifetime batting average. I think that's 6th all time, if I'm not mistaken. Led the league in home runs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 times. People discount what Ruth was capable of doing. These days, I know that that's popular. They say Ruth couldn't even play today. Why? Because he didn't have these pitching machines that have screens in front of them. Look, Ruth probably played more baseball overall than any man who's ever lived. I mean, that was pretty much all he did at St. Mary's growing up for at least a decade. Then he played pro ball and barnstormed in the off season. So this guy played a lot. He saw a lot of live pitches. Here he is taking a pitch. Look at how he takes a pitch. Ruth almost like he went into the first part of the swing in just taking a pitch. See that? He's already into the slotting action. Look at that. This is the way I think you guys should take a pitch. But again, we just hang back. We're still. We think it's more prudent to not move at all on a pitch if you don't swing. I mean, guys hardly do anything on a pitch these days if they don't swing at it. Ruth is already into his front leg. The barrel has flattened. He's ready to go. Why not? Here he is again. Look at that. Look at that connection there. That's only possible because he let so much gravity take his swing at the start. And he's real connected there at contact. Look how hard he's swinging. Swing hard. You get a chance up there. we're not trying to just make contact, guys. If you're up there and you don't give your best swing, if you don't give your hardest swing, that's what I want you to judge yourself on. Not that you made contact or not. That will come. Here he is kind of getting a more of a low and outside pitch. You can see, though, that back arm is just loose enough to just drop the barrel head on the ball. And again, even though he was early on it and it was outside and low, still puts a hard swing on it. These days, guys think that if they don't finish in a tight, robotic, balanced way, then it's not a good swing. But here's Ruth kind of spinning all the way around. There's nothing wrong with that. It means he just took a hard swing. Here's his 60th home run, which I think is the best single swing ever caught on video. I could do a video series on that too, just the best possible swings ever caught on video. This would be number one. Love this position right here is so unique to Ruth. The way he's got that front humerus compression. He's got some bend in his lead arm. And the barrel has just flattened, and he's also got a lot of lag. So there's a lot of, there's a small angle between his lead forearm of his lead arm and the barrel and the bat. The forearm and the bat are making a small angle. That means he's got a lot of lag, which is, it can be a positive. If you can handle it, it can be a positive. And then he just releases into a nice connected position here at contact. I've talked a lot about the back arm release action, how important that is, and I'm going to really touch on that in my next book. That's going to be a main focus as we move into this off season, is the feel of that back arm, especially through contact. And there you can see that back arm and bat are in alignment late into the swing. And he goes into a full finish. Beautiful, beautiful swing there. Here he gets a little bit more straightness in the lead arm. Look how fully he finished. He wasn't looking, guys, just to make contact. He was looking to hit the ball as hard as he can. That is such a key mental shift. So many guys, it's an epidemic out there that guys are just looking to make contact. It's this whole, hit the ball the other way, and this kind of prudent, quote unquote, prudent approach to hitting where you're not trying to crush the ball. Look, I'm not saying try to direct the ball over the fence. That's not going to help you. All you should be concerned about is forget where the ball is going. Just deliver as much force into the ball as possible. Forget about where it's going to go. Just deliver the most possible force. When you're hitting off a tee, I want to see straight line drives, because that means you're looking to hit the center of the ball. You're going to make mistakes and hit ground balls, but you're also going to make mistakes and hit home runs. And I don't think a ground ball is a mistake. That's just part of what happens when you're hitting pitches. You're not going to hit it right in the center every time. But the perfect hit in your mind should be the center of the baseball. A straight line drive. The home runs will come. Look at that barrel flattening there. Beautiful action. Now, people would say he was pulling his head off the ball because of what happens afterwards. But he's looking at the ball. Oh, here you get a good look at his action. Look at that. That's a lead arm dominant action. If you pick up my training bat and you swing with just your lead arm, you're going to want to do a move like you see from Ruth right here. You're going to want to do this kind of casted out move towards the opposite batter's box. This is a lead arm action. Look how connected he is at contact. And then extension. This one, look at the umpire. The actor umpire, just so afraid of the ball. But this is a great look. God, I love this swing. Look at this. Just looseness right here. And then look, beautifully connected, as well as getting a lot of whip. So it's the connection along with the looseness and whip that gives you not only the speed, but the mass behind the hit as well. And here's a nice look at a regular motion swing. This makes me think, you know good mechanics because they're more pleasing to the eye. They're more aesthetically pleasing. And you can sense that when you see it. When I look at this particular swing, I see that there's something beautiful going on in the action. And that what you're seeing in terms of beauty is great mechanics at work. So there you have it. Babe Ruth, 215 pounds, hit a home run every 11.76 at-bats for his career. That is just unbelievable. And he had a 370 pound-for-pound equation, pound-for-pound score. So there you have it, guys. If you want the complete list of the pound-for-pound best players of all time, I have it ranked up to 1,000 or somewhere around there. You can get that when you order the Swing Like Griffey ebook on my website, theswingmechanic.com. Don't forget, if you don't have a small training bat to use, go to my website. You can get what I believe is the best possible weight and size for lead arm training. So thank you guys for watching. You can go to my site, theswingmechanic.com, and check out all this stuff. And I'll see you next time.